Right, yeah, okay. If you done, Ulrich, I did it last time. If
Okay, you're on.
second,
All right, welcome. This is a regular scheduled city council workshop. Today is Eclipse Day, April 8th, Monday. It is 6:16. I am Councilor Fournier. Councilor Pelletier is, or Chair Councilor Pelletier is not feeling too well tonight. And around the table, we have Councilor Prender,
Councilor Dean.
Councilor Dean, Councilor Yakabaga, Councilor Fish, and we have City Manager Deb Glory. First up is MMA Executive Committee nomination process.
Yes. So during last week's GovOps committee, we raised this with the committee members present. That the Maine Municipal Executive Committee is seeking nominations for membership. I know Councilor, just by way of background. There's an overview of responsibilities and protocols included in the packet, listing of the current board memberships and the statement of interest form. It's basically comprised of 12 municipal officials who must either be an elected official or an appointed chief administrative officer. Members are elected to 3-year terms, and the committee generally meets monthly. Members of this committee also fulfill responsibilities assigned to the Strategic and Finance Committee, the Workers' Compensation Fund Board of Trustees, and the Property and Casualty Pool Program Board of Directors. The deadline for submission is next week, and I know can you grab Cody, because I think Joe has a problem with his iPad. Councilor Leonard, do you still have an iPad problem?
Oh, I do, yes.
Okay, we're gonna take care of that.
Thank you.
And I know Councilor Tremble had served out a term on the executive committee. And really does see the value from the larger municipalities and communities like Bangor being represented on that board. So I wanted to bring it back for discussion to see if there is any member of the council who has interest or if you would prefer that it be me. Because I can serve in the capacity as well.
How's your workload?
My workload's not that great, but we're working on that. It would be better, I believe, if it was an elected official.
I was great.
I think so too, and then a lot of the meetings you can attend by Zoom, since COVID, I think a lot of you can attend by Zoom, I don't know if if they've left that option open?
I don't know.
They prefer it in person, but I think it's kind of like here, if you have to, you can.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it'd be better if somebody, if somebody was a newer council, because then you can, so
Serve
it takes a
3
while, it
terms.
really takes a year.
I understand.
I mean, they've got a lot with their workers' comp and their self-insurance, and everything, there's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot to know what they're doing.
So it is a pretty significant time commitment.
Yeah, the actual board meets monthly, I think they
Yeah.
take 1 month off the year, and then there's a 2 or 3 day meeting in the hometown of the board
Chair.
in the fall usually,
Yeah.
so. I think the committee, there's a couple of committees, but I think the committees are definitely no Zoom meetings.
Yeah,
And they want that by the 24th,
22nd.
22nd.
Yeah,
So we do
so if,
have some time.
yeah, but I just wanted to put it out there with a
Yeah.
little bit more detail, because we talked about it in terms of generality. And I'll certainly follow up and ask that if people are interested, let me know.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Distribution. My favorite topic, the budget.
Oh.
It's not your favorite topic. I was gonna say. All right, so you call it Eclipse Day? We don't call it quite that. I had somebody reach out to me and say, oh,
Thank you.
enjoy the big day. And I thought, how do they know it's budget day? And then I realized they were talking to me about the eclipse. I went, oh, So what you have before you is the start and kickoff of our annual budget process. By charter, I am required to submit to you all a total spending package for the upcoming fiscal year. Understand that this is as things sit today, April 8th. I'll also understand that this budget is based on the current levels of services and the current programs that we offer. For the next 2 months, we're gonna go through and have conversations about every operational area and look at, is this an appropriate level of service? Is this an appropriate service? And have those kinds of discussions. It is, another difficult year. I don't know when I'm not gonna be able to say that, and I look forward to the year that I don't have to say that. Obviously, I think for those councils who've been on the council for at least a term, you understand that the vast majority of our budget is driven by payroll and employee-related costs. It actually represents just over 62% of our total budget. There are multiple pieces to our budget. So we have what we call our municipal budget, which is, you know, what you think of as municipal services, trash, police, fire, road plowing, those kinds of things. And then we have a number of enterprise funds. So the airport, the sewer fund, stormwater, the cross insurance center, the golf course. And what that means is those funds are self-sustaining. So user fees pay for operations of those. And there is no impact on the tax rate because we spend an inordinate amount of time, as we should, being concerned about the affordability of the taxes in our community. We have this budget, there's an introductory memo up front that tries to get you at a very high level what the big cost drivers are. We talk about the significant amount of capital that's required to run an organization of our size. It's over $30 million a year. How much of that we funded, how we propose to fund the capital items. We also, obviously, our tax rate is impacted not only by our municipal operations, but our school department, as well as the impact of the county tax. So you all as a council will meet with the school committee on April 24th to go through the school committee budget. The county tax, that's come and gone, that's all done outside of us. And then I've included an estimated tax rate. And what I want people to be aware of is it is just an estimate. It is not final. It is a starting point for your discussion. And it's not attractive. Because we continue to have escalating property values. And you heard Phil the city assessor came and did an update on the market-based adjustments he was going to be looking at for the coming year. I think it was in February at the finance committee, if I remember correctly. So we factored all of that in. The concerning thing for us at this point as things stand, but again, it is just a starting point. And no matter how many times I say that, people are gonna say, taxes are going up by X. And I need folks to be patient. This is just the starting point. Assuming an average residential home value, which has about a 9.8% increase for the coming year, which would equate to about a $245,000 residential home value. As things sit today, that would have an increase of $430 on their tax bill, or 11%. That's a really high percentage on top of the water rate increases folks are gonna see. The likely electricity rate increases they're gonna see. I will share that the only other rate increase that's included in here, there is a rate increase in the sewer budget, because it's important that we keep up with the required commitment that we have to meet our EPA consent decree and continue to invest in capital needs. That's got a 3.5% increase in it. So that's a relatively minor increase if you're talking about the increases to individuals. So I didn't, it's a hard place to start, but it is a start. And we'll have the next 6 to 8 weeks to kind of work through and talk about other strategies and whatever changes you may want to do. We talked about the enterprise funds. Obviously some additional, we try to highlight things that we're working on, in the coming year. And we highlight a lot of great things that we've done over the past year. So we've done a lot of great things, in our city. We've made a lot of great investments that are really making a difference in our city. And that is also included in here. So that's all sort of pre-tab. And then it's gonna give you, like a 10-year history of tax rates and valuations and budgets for the city as a whole. We give you some demographic comparison for surrounding communities, so that you can get a sense of what things look like in our neighboring communities. We have a very detailed listing of every capital item and new program request that has been made, by every department of the city. We also provide you with an estimate of our fund balance and reserve accounts and what we plan, to use out of those accounts that's included in this budget. We provide a general fund summary, which gives the estimated tax rate. We also, lay out all of the major changes. So if you're looking at the estimated tax rate, for example, overall city expenses as a starting point were up 6.8%. We were fortunate that our non-tax revenues also went up about 5%, but it wasn't enough to cover, all of the additional costs. So when you factor in the increased value and things like that, the tax rate goes up very minimally at this first estimate, but again, it's just an estimate. It's about a 5-cent increase. But the fact that values go up 9.8% really skews the property tax bill. And I think that's an important distinction to make. Lots of times you'll hear communities say, our tax rate has dropped. Doesn't mean the person's tax bill has, and I think it's important that we be honest and open about that. We've included all of the changes. We've included some graphs that talk about our expenditures. 62% of our expenditures are personnel related. 7% is county tax, 5% is debt service, 3% is sanitation or utilities, sanitation or trash, if you will. 3% are utilities, public library is 3%, general assistance is 2%. Hydrant and equipment rentals are 2%. We have transfers out to fund some capital items at 1%. 12% represents everything else in the budget. So I guess what this hopes to convey is a lot of our costs are pretty fixed. So really, when you look at, if you wanted to make some significant budget changes, it comes down to programs and levels of service that you're willing to accept. The good news is years ago, it wasn't quite this good when you looked at our revenues. Property taxes are 48%, which is below 50%, which is nice to have, but it's still a pretty big ask from our taxpayers. We have revenue sharing at 14%, charges for services where we bill for the work we do, other to others internally or externally. We have excise tax and payment in lieu of taxes, which is about 10%. The homestead and Betty exemptions, which are state reimbursements. Other governmental funds, a lot of that is related to the operation of the community connector, because every community participates in the operation cost. We have our general assistance, we've got rents, franchise fees and interest earnings on our funds, some licenses and permits, and then everything else is about 1%. So you can still see we're heavily reliant on property taxes. We further break down the property tax bill in a way that gives you a sense of where your tax money is going. So 45% of every tax dollar goes to support education, 11% goes to support police, 9% to fire, 9% to public works, 7% to county tax, 3% library, 3% debt, 2% library, 2% finance, 2% parks and rec, and smaller amounts, and then everything else is lumped into 8%. So you can really see where your tax dollars are invested. The next page does show you that the capital asks from departments were in excess of $31 million. Understand that a lot of that has grant funds attached to it, so it seems very large. But for example, community connector grants. There are significant, there's about 90% of that is federal dollars. But we include that all in here when we're talking about it. We break it down further on the second page. So that you can see at 31.47, the budget proposed funds about 30.3 million of that. 12.2 is coming from grants. We have a amount that we would suggest to bond. We have an amount that's included in the operating budget already. And then other reserve and trust accounts that the city has. So we do try to create a balance so that the capital needs of the city don't represent another don't add significantly to the operating budget to negatively impact the taxpayers. We want to be able to ensure that we have equipment that we need to be effective, efficient as we can, and that we minimize the impact on the taxpayer. So having said all of that, we also are, if you look at the inside cover, it's got a calendar of the meetings. We're gonna have to add a Tuesday meeting, which will be next Tuesday. Because we have a number of holidays, Monday holidays, which pushes all of our regular meetings to Wednesday. So in order to accommodate that, we're gonna have to add a Tuesday meeting. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That's about the only difference.
And you thought that would be next Tuesday?
Yeah, the 16th.
Yeah, it's on there.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
I just wanted to throw it out there that it was a little bit different.
all right,
Yeah, typically it's Wednesday nights.
right, no, I get it. All right. Questions? Comments? Counselor Dean?
I have a question where I'm new to this budget. The 11.3% increase.
Yes,
Is to cover all the current asks.
correct,
So everything that's in here would be covered by that 11.
correct.
And we can work on that if we want to.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll also add that there are a couple of other things that will happen later on that will have an impact automatically. So you'll get your final, I've built in quite a bit of the assessed value that Phil had estimated. But once we get final value, if the value continues to go up, it's not likely to be related to residential. So more value will bring the tax rate down,
Mhm.
which will bring the tax bill down. The other kind of big ticket item I think that's hanging out there is what the state legislature is gonna do with general assistance. If there's additional funding related to general assistance, that will also have a positive impact.
Counselor Trumbull?
But just to follow up to that, just for the new council, so this budget, as far as the city part of the budget,
Mhm.
it's built on last year's budget, so there's no new program.
That's
or
correct.
anything, so if people want new, as we go along, that would be part of the budget process. And this 340 million in new valuation, that primarily residential
It's
valuation.
primary residential and new construction, but there is some commercial value
Yeah.
adjustment in there
It's
as
a little
well.
more even this year.
Oh,
Correct,
Yeah.
yes. So we didn't have the mismatch that we had last year.
Yeah.
Basically, commercial value, market adjustments are very much in line this year with residential. I think they're about
We're not seeing a lot of new
8.6.
commercial construction, just valuation.
Correct,
increase.
these are market
No big
adjustments.
projects.
Yeah, Mark.
And
There
just
were a
to-
couple of large ones that are in the downtown that still need to be
Oh, right,
finalized.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just a question too about valuations and not part of the budget, but I know we're starting the city's wide revamp. Are we sending it, or the company that's doing it, are they sending like a letter to everybody in the city explaining the process to them before?
So
they start?
Phil is starting, we had this conversation with, I don't know if you remember.
I'm not sure if I'm there,
Okay.
but I,
So I had this
I had one
conversation
with
with Phil, last week. They are starting to pull together the work plan.
Mhm.
And a lot of it is gonna be about ensuring that we communicating appropriately with folks, that people know ahead of time. He's looking at sites where they're gonna do neighborhood meetings. So they could actually be out and talking to people and addressing people's concerns. He'd like to try to do it in a way that the individuals who will be assigned, if you will, that area are also present, so people have an opportunity to, oh, okay, you're
you're the guy that's gonna show up in my door.
you're Joe or Mary or whatever you are, and you're gonna be my person. So he is starting to work through that.
Other questions? I just said, maybe something we could do. Not that I'm a big graph person, but this is, I think this is good. If you could do that for maybe the larger cities and is that something that could be easily pulled together?
I don't know. Because I'm not sure that they make that information available in that way.
Okay,
We can do it because it's our data,
I know.
so we have to manipulate our data. We can
Yeah.
check.
If you can, just
Yeah.
be a good comparison, just to see
Yeah.
where we're falling.
Yeah.
Maybe just Lewiston, Auburn, Portland.
Yeah.
South Portland.
Yeah.
That's what you have about.
So the Streets Plus program,
Mhm.
for downtown, is it still included here? Because you said there are no new programs.
I have not included it in the 11.3%
Okay.
piece.
Okay.
It's listed in there
Mhm.
as a new program. And I believe that, the Downtown Bangor Partnership is gonna be presenting that to you during their budget.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, but I did include it in here as a placeholder so that you knew what wasn't included.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else? All right, so the first meeting we have is, next week. And
Yep,
that's on the, enterprise? Yeah,
yes.
okay. And that's a good one to start with.
Yeah, we'll ease you in.
Yes,
Yeah, we'll ease you in.
great. All right, update on the first coffee with the
Yeah.
counselor.
So I believe there were 4 counselors who were able to attend. And
3 of them are here.
perfect. So I didn't know, I just put this on here as an opportunity. If you all wanted to share how you felt it went.
Yeah.
Okay,
It- I think it went fine. Maybe there can be some different approach as how it goes about. I felt it could be more organized.
okay,
And like, I think I had a conversation with the Councillor Fish on
Okay.
that. And I let her finish.
well, it was the first one, so, and that's good. I heard there was a good sized turnout. Number of folks, and is it a formatting thing, looking sort of to have,
I mean, just to give everyone the opportunity to talk to councillors,
Yeah.
so that you're not just, listening to one person. So I
Okay.
feel it could have include more people.
almost like a round robin?
More people, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Because an hour was very short,
okay,
and for the amount of people that showed up, I felt badly that some people, I don't think had a chance to talk to us.
okay,
And some people, wanted to share a lot and took quite a bit of time, and unfortunately that meant we couldn't speak with some. of them.
okay. All right, that's all good feedback. Cause we'll look to schedule another one, and I think some other folks you had mentioned doing them at different times of day because, people's schedules vary, so.
But I thought it's a very good opportunity because constituents need to see that we are out there and we are accessible if they want to talk to us. So I thought it was really a good start.
All right.
How was the coffee? Was coffee good?
Yeah.
No, now stop.
Just sat there.
I thought there was a good turnout, which I thought was, I wasn't sure what was gonna turn out, or who was gonna turn out. But yeah, I think a couple of people kind of monopolized some of the conversations. I know I got cornered for a good chunk of my time.
Okay.
Which is fine.
Right.
He had a lot to say and
Okay,
I was there to listen and, was able to touch base with a couple people at the end.
all right.
Um,
So maybe we need some other people handling to try to kind of
yeah, I am.
make sure that everybody feels they had an opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay,
Would it be better if we had tables and a council was present at each table and people
maybe.
went up?
Well, we kind of
We kind of did.
We did.
did have that. Yeah.
It was more than one at each table, basically, so, and I think it felt better to have someone else at the table, not just, yourself sitting there alone. I think it was nice how, like, a couple of us were at each table, so. I know
Okay.
Councillor, Fournier was somewhere standing, but he was able to connect with people as well and listen, yeah.
All right. worth doing again, just with a little tweaking.
Mhm.
Okay.
Great. Manager updates.
Manager updates, we wrapped up our public restroom forums last week, all of which were very well attended. We're compiling all of the feedback and anticipate returning to the committee or workshop in May to present final recommendations for discussion. I think I just want to be clear, no one is going to make this, decision in the dark of night. You're not going to come home one day and find a public restroom. So I just want to be clear with that. We continue to have discussions with our community partners regarding a plan to assist those currently within the encampment behind Hope House. That's underway. I want to have a plan, together to present later this month that will allow us to work through and kind of continue that HUD model with the folks that we have, and limit access to new entries. Not because of anything other than we just need this time and space to work through and connect the individuals that are currently there, who are anxious, who are actively engaged. I mentioned that we're awaiting final legislative actions in Augusta, specifically funding of GA and what they're gonna do with the shelter funding as it relates to Hope House. Congressionally directed spending portals are opening up again. So city staff will be looking at opportunities to submit for consideration. We're also receiving letters, requests for letters of support from other organizations, as we do every year. It's been our practice, unless the city council has taken a position, we bring forward all requests. So I just wanted to review the requests we've gotten so far, some of which we've sort of taken a stand on, but I just wanted to make sure that our position on, I should say. Bangor Nursing and Rehab Facility is looking to install heat pumps, tinted windows, LED lighting, new bathroom plumbing and floor. I mean, it's a skilled nursing facility that was previously owned by the city. It's the old Dow Hospital. It needs some help. I figured there was no objection to that. St. Joseph's is looking for a new fluoroscopy machine and age-friendly inpatient renovations. A fluoroscopy machine provides diagnostic support for patients. It also has improved imaging. The current one is at end of life and they can't even get parts. And then the third one is from Community Care Shaw House. They're looking to pursue some funding to renovate the interior of the building. As you may recall, the city council provided some funding in conjunction with the county to do the exterior. This would be for the interior. So I assume there are no objections and we're gonna go ahead and do those letters. And then the only last thing I had were some housekeeping items, with some absences. We're gonna, once you all determine who you're gonna elect to serve as chair for the evening, we're gonna need to reassign Councilor Hawes unfinished item. And then if the councilor who serves as chair has items, we'll need to reassign those, but we can hopefully do that on the fly.
That's it?
That's it.
Nice.
Budget took up most of your week, huh?
Weekend.
Weekend
So,
and the week.
yes.
Accept the motion, to go into executive session. Counselor Trumbull,
So moved.
Second.
can you just read it?
Oh, well, let's see, thing, yeah. I would move, we go into executive session for 1 MRSA 456E, consultation with city solicitor.
We have a motion, we have a second. Roll call vote. Counselor Leonard.
Yes.
Counselor Trumbull.
Yes.
Counselor Dean.
Yes.
Counselor Yakabaga.
Yes.